story. I was in China in 1998, which admittedly was 10 years ago, interviewing a bunch of banks, which supposedly were in this free market Chinese capitalism kind of system. And I was talking to one banker who was telling me in very angry tones that the government was asking him to make 20-year fixed-rate mortgage loans while and holding them on his books while simultaneously funding them with short-term deposits. Well, we know from the S&L crisis that that is a recipe for complete and utter disaster. He knew it was a recipe for complete and utter disaster, but it was what he was being told by the government to do while the government was asserting that this was free market capitalism. So it's always been a little mixed, and I assume, maybe the mixture's changed a little since 1998, but purity was never part of the deal. On our side, purity was never part of the deal either. Just to take that same example, the reason why we can make 30-year fixed-rate loans in this country in a world in which the banks are still heavily funded by short-term either deposits or commercial paper is that Fannie and Freddie were there to buy them. And Fannie and Freddie were entities created by the government. Fannie is an outgrowth of the Reconstruction Finance Corporation, which was part of the Depression. Freddie was created to sort of mimic Fannie later on. And they've always had the government relationship. FHA and VA loans, again, government guarantees. The whole regulatory system, I would argue, is government structuring of the financial markets, and always has been, and it is what provides a layer of trust that enables these markets to work. No one in their right mind, well, think about that. In years past, no one in their right mind would have been willing to do trillions of dollars of transactions with financial entities that were capitalized at 8%. That's what our big banks are. And the reason people were willing to do those transactions, and will continue to be willing to do those transactions, is the government has been sitting there regulating them, providing deposit insurance to the depositors, and generally being part of the system. So, neither of these have been pure. Clearly, we're having more intervention now than we have had for a good long time. But one of the questions is sort of what are the basic premises you work from, and thus when you finish dealing with the crisis, sort of which direction do you try to go back to? And I think the direction the United States will continue to try to go back to is a more free market direction, but we're done with sort of total deregulation, let the market run as the strategy.